highway detection equipment in Pennsylvania. But PennDOT says we'll soon see it at the 79 and 910 interchange. They hope to expand its capability in the future. Okay, I just pressed the button for OK for live stream. Are we on?
You're good to go. Yep.
Excellent. All right. Good evening, everyone. We're here. We're going to have a brief interview about an opening on the Shade Tree Advisory Committee. And today we have Mr. Mark Hall, who is applying for the position. So once again, Mr. Hall, can you please let us know why you're interested in being a member of the Shade Tree Committee?
Yes, thank you. I'm a homeowner here in Swissvale. I love trees. I think they play a vital role in not only healthy neighborhoods, but for the planet at large. Um, I recently received a serviceberry tree from the program. Well, it was planted just on the planting strip in front of our house. And that's how I became aware of the Shade Tree Advisory Committee. And I met Gib, who is one of the members, and um, expressed an interest in, how can I repay the favor, the gift? And he suggested that I join the committee. So that was something that I was interested in, and I have a little bit of background in trees. I've grown them myself. We recently just planted an apple tree in our backyard. I've been a bonsai hobbyist for many years. And professionally, I have a career in both nonprofit and corporate leadership roles. So I have experience with collaboration and follow through, listening, which I think might be beneficial traits for the commission. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Hall? I do have a question about the bonsais, right? So, how many have you grown, and is there a particular seedling that you use?
So I got started in Seattle, and it was a idea that I had to do something with my father. So I got us a, a lesson on how to do it, and we each got two trees as part of that program. And I subsequently just collected volunteers from, my yard and potted them up. And when I moved out here, I gave all those to my dad to take care of. So he's got about 5 trees that he's taken care of for me. Since I moved here, I've potted up I've got about 7 or so volunteers just from, the things that sprout up in your yard. I just pot them up and start pruning them and see what happens.
And keep them small. Okay,
Yeah, keep them
that's very
small.
interesting. Well, thank you, Mr. Hall. Does anybody else have a question?
No questions, but again, thank you so much, Mr. Hall, for taking the time to meet with us and very interested in knowing that you're very much interested in trees and how they grow, and that would be definitely a good quality for this commission. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you
Excellent.
for having me.
And
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Batchy, when do we make our decisions on this?
We'll put it on the agenda for next week, for May 6th. We'll make a decision, and I'll reach out to you on the 7th, let you know one way or the other.
I have a question,
Sure.
Mr. Hall. Can you just tell us where you see the future of Swissvale, especially in relation to trees?
Where do I see the future?
Of Swissvale in relation to trees.
Yeah, well, that I hope to learn more about it, joining the commission, but what I've seen so far is a direction that I would like to see continue, and that is planting trees and caring for them in a structured and, cooperating with the town council seems like a good approach. I helped some of the members celebrate the 10th year of being awarded Tree City USA by the Arbor Foundation. I think that's who it was. So yeah, I think there's positive things happening in the town, and I don't really see too much change that's necessary other than keeping up the good work that's already been undertaken.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. So we're going to continue on. We have another meeting, but I thank you very, very much for coming, for speaking to us, and for applying for the position. We always appreciate when we have citizens that want to come in and want to help make our neighborhood greener. I particularly appreciate it. Maybe I'll get some hints from you in terms of how to turn some volunteers into some bonsais. So thank you very much,
Yeah,
Mr. Hall.
happy to. Okay, thanks for having me.
Okay, ciao, ciao.
Good night.
Um, uh, do you have your equipment back up or did you still have to restart?
We have to wait until 6:30.
Ah, we have to wait till 6:30. Okay.
Yeah, because
Well,
that was
you
the
have seven.
advertised time.
Okay, that's perfect. So you have 7 minutes.
Good now,
So
though.
everybody can take a 7 minute, well, make it a 6 minute break so that we can start on time. All right. See you in six. Hello, Mr. McTiernan. How are you?
Hello, Professor. How are you this
I'm
evening?
fine, thank you. All righty.
Testing. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Clyde.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, just got done eating a real quick part of a dinner.
The same. Hello, Miss Jeffrey.
Hi, Dr. Jeffers.
Dr. Jeffrey. That's right, Dr. Jeffrey.
Doctor, how are you?
Doctor's in the house. I'm good.
Very good.
All right. Is our court reporter, are you
Ready to go.
fingers at the ready? Excellent. Okay, it is now 6:30, and we're going to start our demolition clearance hearings. We have three properties, I believe, that are going to we're going to be hearing about. And Mr. Batchy, do I need to do anything else to get started?
No, Chief Wilhelm and Mr. McTiernan will take it from here.
There we go.
And
Take it away.
this is Robert McTiernan. I'm the borough solicitor, and I will defer to Chief Wilhelm concerning these properties. He will explain his official role in the borough, his certification, and then we'll discuss each property.
Mr. Batchy, I don't have a share screen on my screen.
Should be down on the bottom of the Zoom bar.
Oh, there, not my bad. Okay, I got it. All right. Okay, so all right. Can everyone see that? All right, so this is the time and place of the public hearing for the demolition, for the clearance of declaring these properties a nuisance. Mr. McTiernan, the solicitor for the borough, is here, as well as myself, and I am the building code official for the borough of Swissvale and certified through the Pennsylvania Department of Labor and Industry, and have been assigned as the borough of Swissvale's building code official for the state. This hearing was properly advertised in the Valley Mirror, as you can see on the screen. Here we go. And it was advertised in the Valley Mirror on April 16th, 2026, as well as 4/23/2026. And the properties in question are 2329 Waverly Street, 7412 Park Avenue, and 7305 Denniston Avenue. Property 1, 2329 Waverly Street, is lot and block 235-J-313. And the owners of record are Joseph L. and Helen D. Moden, with the address as the same, 2329 Waverly Street. A title search was performed for the property. We will introduce into this hearing Exhibit 1, which is a copy of the title search for 2329 Waverly Street. The title search results revealed that there are no mortgages, no judgments. There are 3 municipal liens, all 3 from the borough of Swissvale, with the amounts listed here: $521.88 from 2010, $984 from 2014, and $675 from 2016. There are also another 39 delinquent tax liens on the property dated back to 2003. All lien holders, judgment holders, taxing authorities, etc., were notified via first class and certified mail return receipt requested of these public hearings on the condemnation of those properties. If the owner had more than one such address and like an alternate address, it was mailed, notices were sent there as well. In this case, the only address on file was the actual address of the property. The property was also posted with a copy of the letter. Exhibit 2, for the purposes of this hearing, will be copies of the notification letters that were sent. Borough Code Enforcement has previously sent violation notices to the property and has taken enforcement action with no corrective action or abatement resulting. It was later determined that the owners of record are deceased. Joseph passed away on June 22nd, 1981, and Helen on November 11th, 2000. Borough staff and resources have been used to secure the buildings numerous times over the last decade, and the structure has suffered years of neglect and has not been occupied for more than 2 decades. Exhibit 3 for this property will be 8 photos that are coming forth addressing the property. This is the photo taken by me on April 7th, 2026, showing the posting of the property on the front door. If you will notice on the plywood, that is a posting of the letter for the hearing. You'll also note underneath the window, there is a red X on there. We evaluate vacant structures on an annual basis, and this is a no-go. If there was a fire in here, we would not send firefighters inside the building because of the degraded conditions within. It's a hazard. This is the left side of the property. We'll see numerous windows are broken out, and the wall coverings are missing. It's rotting away. This is the rear portion of the house, which abuts a neighbor's backyard. This is would be the right side of the house where there was a door out of the kitchen of the dwelling, and you can see the trash and the remnants of garbage all around. This is the right side of the house if you're facing the front from Waverly Street. You can see it's overgrown and degraded. This is a photo from inside one of the windows where you can see that there's much debris piled up, and a lot of that is collapsed from the ceilings down onto the first floor. This photo is difficult to see, but this is actually from the front window to the right of the door. And if you look closely at the very center to the right of the drape, you can see these white lines. That's actually daylight from the roof coming through into the living room area, which once was the living room area. And this photo is just, again, from a distance. You can see the degrading of the roof. The shingles are bad. Where the tree is on the right-hand side, it's actually penetrated the roof and caused substantial more damage. So this property is a vacant, abandoned, and blighted property. It's dilapidated, including significant structural damage and deficiencies. It's unsafe and unfit for human habitation, and the property contains a dangerous and nuisance structure. It therefore constitutes an unlawful nuisance and is a threat to the health, safety, and welfare of the residents of the borough pursuant to Chapter 10, Part 1 of the Swissvale Borough Code, also known as Ordinance 90-8. Does anyone have any questions or comments about property number 1?
I would just like to know, that tree that's also on the property, will that be taken down with the property? I know that it grows like over the lot, over the, I don't know if those are, I don't think they're power lines right there.
That would be on the property of the dwelling, and we can include that, I'm sure, right? Correct, Mr. Batchy?
Yes, we can include that as long as we put it in the bid specs and make it part of the bid that everybody bids on. Yes, it can be removed as part of this.
Is that
okay? Yeah, it was just a question. These lots become more, I guess, appealing if something like that isn't, like if the neighbor next to it wanted to acquire it for a parking space, then just like removing the tree would make that easier, or make it, I guess, like I said, more appealing for someone to adopt the
vacant lot. Yes,
lot.
I understand.
Mm-hmm. Cool, thanks.
Property number 2 is 7412 Park Avenue. It's block and lot number 178G229. The owner of record is Russell C. McGarity. Has 2 addresses listed on the real estate documents: 148 Cypress Hill Drive, Pittsburgh 15235, as well as 925 Hamlet Court, Apartment 3, Monroeville, Pennsylvania 15146. A title search was performed of this property. Exhibit 4 for this hearing will be a copy of the title search for 7412 Park Avenue. And the search resulted in finding that there are no mortgages, no judgments. There are 2 municipal liens, both by the Borough of Swissvale, from 13 2013 in the amount of $1,032, and 16 in the amount of $972. And there are 38 additional tax liens on the property dating back to 2005. All owners, lien holders, mortgage holders, judgment holders, and taxing bodies were notified via first class and certified mail return receipt requested of the public hearings and the condemnation of this property. If the owner had more than one address, as this one did, it was also sent to the alternate mailing address as well. The property was also posted with a copy of the letter. Exhibit 5 will be copies of the notification letters. And Borough Code Enforcement has previously sent violation notices to the owner of the property and had taken enforcement action with no corrective action or abatement of the nuisance resulting. I can verify and testify truly that there has been more than a half a dozen times that we have sent violation notices and citations to this property owner. The property was inherited by the current owner in 2000 upon the death of his parents. Borough staff and resources have been used to secure the building numerous times over the last decade. We've also had numerous complaints from the property owners on each side, which have decently maintained 3-unit apartment buildings on each side, which you'll see in the photos forthcoming. The structure has suffered years of neglect and has not been occupied for more than a decade. The following are photos of the current condition of that property. Exhibit 6 will be those photos, 7 in total. This is a photo of the front door, again dated April 7th, 2026, to verify the posting on the front of the address, which you will see taped to the plywood over the front door. This is a little further back from street view. You can see that the 3rd floor window of the dwelling is missing, and it's been that way for some time. And this is the weather side of the building, which has allowed water to enter into that window every time it rains. Please note the close proximity of the buildings on each side. As I said, each one of the units on each side are lawfully occupied and reasonably well maintained. And so there are 6 dwelling units, and they're both within less than 3 feet on each side of this dilapidated dwelling, which presents a fire hazard. This is the rear of the building, where you can see the rear yard is overgrown and there's poison ivy and other vines growing up on the side of the home and the back of the home. This is another photo of the rear showing it from a different angle. This is the proximity of the neighboring properties. You can see the vines growing up on this side as well. And the fire department had previously had the electrical lines disconnected from this dwelling as a precaution to try to prevent any potential fire. This is the right side of the dwelling. You can see where the roof lines, they're less than a foot apart. So if in some unfortunate manner this structure had caught on fire, we would end up with 3 buildings on fire potentially, and very difficult to try to contain because of the close proximity of these buildings. This is just another angle from the roof. If you focus on the center, you can see it has a slate tile roof, and you can see that from this angle, you can see across the top at the peak of the roof, there are several tiles missing, and that causes more water infiltration into the 3rd floor, which ultimately goes down through the other floors and continues to cause deterioration. So this property is a vacant, abandoned, and blighted property. It's dilapidated, including structural damage and deficiencies. It's clearly unsafe and unfit for human habitation, and the property contains a danger and nuisance on the property as previously described. It therefore constitutes an unlawful nuisance and is a threat to the health, safety, and welfare of the borough residents, pursuant to Chapter 10, Part 1 of the Swissvale Borough Code. Are there any questions or comments on this property? The 3rd property is 7305 Deniston Avenue, block and lot 178 L192. The owners of record on this property are Bonnie L. Studemeyer Sr. and Marion B. Studemeyer, wife, and they have the same mailing address as the property address. A title search was performed for the property, which will be entered as Exhibit 7, a copy of the title search. And the search results showed There was one mortgage from the Citizens Bank of Pennsylvania in the amount of $38,000. There were two judgments, one from the Borough of Swissvale in 2014 of $1,766.83 in Woodland Hills High School or Woodland Hills School District from 2019 in the amount of $14,138.67. There is one municipal lien from 13 from the Borough of Swissvale at $1,259.36. And there are additional delinquent lien taxes since 2010, totaling 27 separate tax liens in addition to the ones mentioned. All lien holders, owners, property, or anyone who has an interest in the property, including mortgage holders, judgment holders, and all taxing bodies, were notified via first-class mail, as well as certified mail return receipt requested on the public hearings on the condemnation of these properties. If the owner had more than one address, it was also sent to the alternate. The property was also posted with a copy of the letter. Exhibit 8 will be copies of those notification letters. Now, this particular property we cleared for demolition last year and went through this process already, but we didn't have enough funding to demolish this property. So I understand we do have enough funding to do it this time, and we are going through this again. So it's timely and it's required by the grantor to have current clearance hearings. So Borough Code Enforcement has previously sent violation notices to the property owners and had taken enforcement action, obviously with no corrective action or abatement of the issues resulting. The structure has suffered years of neglect and has not been occupied for more than a decade. The building owner, or the building has been owned by the current owner since 1966. And unfortunately, both owners are deceased. Mr. Stoudemire from 2002 and Mrs. Stoudemire in 2013. The property has been vacant for 12 years or more. The following are photos of the current condition of the property, which will be Exhibit 9, a total of 7 photographs. This is the front door from April 7th, the date of the posting. You'll notice the posting is taped to the front door. This is back from the street view that shows the outside of the building. Fortunately, the neighbors have taken it on themselves to keep the grass maintained and keep it cut, and we are very thankful for that. If you will notice in the center window on the second floor, I think there's a close-up. You can see behind the window the white stuff in there and the discoloring. That's actually molded plaster falling from the ceiling due to the water leaks in the roof. This is a rear of the building, again, taken on April 24th, most recently. When I did this last year, it's hard to see in this photo, but before we resecured the rear door, this was taken in March of 25. The photo is, when it's bigger, it's actually, you can see it. The ceiling in the kitchen on the first floor is also collapsed down on the floor with debris piled. So there's significant water damage throughout the home. This is a picture of the roof where you can see the degraded shingles, which is causing the water infiltration and the damage. You can see from the front side as well, the roof. If you look comparably to the house on the right compared to the one in the center, you can see how the shingles are all curled up and degraded. Are there any questions or comments on this dwelling? So with all this said, it is the recommendation of myself as the borough's building code official that council declare these a nuisance and that they be demolished as funding is available.
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Back to Park Avenue. I know a lot of properties, the owners were deceased. Did you get a, I'm assuming you did not have a response from the Park Avenue owner?
No response.
Okay.
No, we didn't get any response from any of the parties at all on any of the properties. Well, that would conclude my testimony for the hearing, and I would ask the council consider to take action to declare them a public nuisance so they could be demolished at next week's meeting.
Mr. Wilhelm, or maybe Mr. Batchy, this is Robert McTiernan. I think you might have already alluded to it, Mr. Batchy. There's been no, but maybe Mr. Wilhelm can confirm there have been no communications and nobody has signed up or asked to participate in this meeting this evening.
That's correct. We received no feedback from anyone who was notified. All the lien holders were notified. Anybody with an ownership interest in the property was notified. And they were instructed to contact either Mr. Wilhelm or myself. No one has reached out up to this point, and no one had asked for a Zoom link to come to this meeting to testify on behalf of the owners or any of the lien holders.
Thank you. That's all I have as far as this hearing goes.
And that's it.
Okay, so then we are concluding this meeting, Mr. Batchy, at 6:50 p.m.
Yeah, we can close the hearing at 6:50 p.m. and then we have to wait until 7 for our next meeting.
Excellent. So we can close the meeting and then we will come back at 7 p.m. All
Thank
right.
you, Madam Chairman.
Very good. Everyone take your bathroom break or stretch your legs. Ms. Ansel, are we ready to go live?
Yep, we are still streaming, so whenever you are ready, you can start the meeting.
Excellent. Okay, we're starting the meeting on 4/29/2026 at 7 p.m. We'll start with a roll call. Ms. Schwartzwelder,
Present?
Dr. Jeffrey,
Present.
Ms. Dribbling,
Present.
Mr. Haynes,
Present.
Ms. Grabowski.
I'm here.
Uh, Mr. Ansel is currently not present.
I'm here.
Oh, I am so sorry. There is no
Yeah,
name attached
it's
to
okay.
your phone number.
I'm on the phone. No problem.
Mr. Ansel, who is our president of council, is on the phone, and I am in charge of the meeting this week. And he's in charge of the meeting next week. So there you go, tag teaming. Um, uh, Mayor Schwartzwelder,
Here.
present. Excellent. And I am present also, Dr. Alfonso Wells. All right, so we are starting our meeting. And do we have public comment, Mr. Batchy?
We do. We have one person signed up, young Gergeris, who is here on the screen.
Ah, Young. How do you pronounce your last name again?
Greg actually got it right, which I'm impressed. It's Gergeris.
Gergeris. Oh my goodness. Yes, I wasn't going to attempt that. So,
Yeah.
um, young Gergeris, can you please state your name and give your address and and then you can start your public comment.
Yeah, my name is Young Gergeris, and I live on Duquesne Avenue. Um, and I like to be able to visit the Monongahela on the walks with my dog, me and my partner. And one of the only places I can do that is kind of at the corner of Collingwood and Burton, which is kind of near Triangle Bar, right near Carrie Blast Furnace. So you're like staring at Carrie Blast Furnace. And one time when I was walking there with my partner and our dog, we saw two people getting out of a company vehicle dumping black trash bags over the hillside there, which was like devastating to us, as like this is an area that we would really like to see be nicer so that we can, like sit and look at the mon. So I reported this through the borough website because I was concerned about it. And the concern was dismissed the next day. And I was told it was a police matter and that the police investigated and that they are permitted to dump there. So I told this to one of my friends and they said I should report it to the DEP. And I did so. The DEP called me same day that I reported it, and they told me they're not allowed to dump there, and that the borough should not have said that they were permitted to dump there. And so I'm just kind of like wanting to follow up on that and see what's being done and also what the confusion around allowing dumping there was.
Excellent. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Can you explain where that was happening again?
Yeah, it's at the corner of Collingwood and Burton.
Okay, I think, did you say Monongahela at the beginning?
No, Collingwood. Maybe. Oh, I
Did
was
you say,
visiting.
okay, then,
I was visiting the Monongahela River.
okay, that makes much more
Yeah.
sense. So Collingwood and Burton, and they were throwing trash over the
Like
hill.
dumping bags, like black trash bags.
Like full bags?
Yeah, like emptying them over the hill.
It doesn't matter.
So
No,
they
I
were
just
dumping the trash from
my
the
idea
bag.
was whether it was they were throwing the bags over or they're, I mean, just to see what the motion of it
Just
is.
dumping.
But yes.
Yeah.
How long ago was this?
And
Young. Sorry.
This was on March 16th at around 4 p.m.
do you know who you spoke with that said that it was just a borough?
The response that I first
Or was it
got was from
email?
Lindsay Bagwell. S SBHRPD office.
Okay.
Did you say anything to the individuals who were dumping at that time?
I did not, because I took pictures and I took a video, but I didn't want to engage. Like, I didn't know what was going on, and just wanted to make sure that the borough was aware.
And you have pictures and videos?
I do.
I think we'd like to get a sampling of those, especially since you said they had uniforms on, um, the clothing, because absolutely dumping is unacceptable. And of course, you are correct that the first line of defense is to actually call the police department because they have to make a report on why there is dumping that is going on or what's going on, period, right? They're supposed to investigate that. So. Yes, I think we're going to be looking into this. And if we can get uh, some of those pictures and the footage, that would be much appreciated.
Yeah, I'll make sure that Greg has those.
Thank you very much.
And Young, can you send those over to me via email?
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you. Excellent. Well, glad that you called that to our attention. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. Um, and now we're going to move on to our agenda items. Today, we're going to be discussing several different things, but we're going to start with agenda item A, which is to discuss the Park mobile app.
Hey, everybody.
Mr. Batch, you'll introduce it first, and then
Go ahead.
so sorry.
All good.
Yeah, so we've been looking for, we as the staff have been looking for an answer to the failing parking meter system for some time now. And Sarah has done a lot of research with different parking apps. Looks like Park Mobile would be one that would suit our needs fairly well. The fees are fairly low. We can't use our meters anymore because our meter person who maintained them is in no condition any longer to maintain them. He's an elderly gentleman, and he has closed his business. There's no one that does this work anymore. The meters are 70 years old, and it's time to move on to get in some new technology. So we did meet with the staff, met with Max Hogue from Park Mobile, who's with us here. We discussed this with the finance committee, and the finance committee's recommendation is to move toward the Park Mobile app. And I asked Sarah to ask Mr. Hogue to come to the meeting, so he could give like a 5-minute presentation on how Park Mobile works and answer any questions you have before we move forward. What we'd like to do is try to have this in place before, if we can, try to have it in place before the Commercial Street Bridge closure, at least in the parking lot on Noble Street, so that in the borough parking lot, so that we can keep people from parking there all day and taking the bus. And if they do do that, we'll at least collect the revenue from it. So with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Hogue.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg. Much appreciated. Is it all good if I share my screen here?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Can you all see what I have just shared?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, first of all, thank you all for the time today. Much appreciated. Like Greg said, I will go through a quick 5-minute, condensed presentation of just our company, how the app works, what it means for you guys, and all that good stuff. So let me get over here. Quick introduction. My name is Max Hogue. Like I said, I'm a regional sales manager here at Arrive. I oversee the entirety of Pennsylvania. I've been with the company for about 1.5 years now. I have expertise in specifically municipal parking, both on and off street. And I'm based in Columbus, Ohio, so I'm not too far away from you all. First of all, you're probably like, why does he keep saying Arrive and not Park Mobile? Arrive is just our parent company. Easy Park Group, Flowbird Group, and Parkopedia is what makes up Arrive. We have 70 years of mobility innovation. We're in 90 countries worldwide. We're in over 900 cities in the United States. 75 million yearly users. And we have a ton of long-term customers, including the city of Pittsburgh, which we have been live in for over 20 years now, which is crazy. If you've ever used the Park PGA app, or PGH app, that is powered by Park Mobile. It's the same exact thing, just has a white label on it. So if you're familiar with that app, you are familiar with Park Mobile. We're also have a huge presence around the Northeast and in Pennsylvania. Like I said, Pittsburgh, we're in Philadelphia, York, Harrisburg, Allentown, Reading, Bethlehem. There's more that I'm not remembering right now. The whole state is covered with Park Mobile. So we're also already here. So over 91% of your population is actually already a Park Mobile user. So that could be they've checked out as a guest using the guest checkout. They have an account. They have the app downloaded. This obviously comes from being right outside of the city. That zip code, kind of intersects with the Swissvale zip code. So this is just to show you that the transition will not be that crazy. A ton of people are already familiar with it. And I would be shocked if a lot of you have not already used it at some point. Looking into the app a little bit more, just so you guys understand how it works if you're not familiar. So this is kind of the workflow. This is the standard step-by-step that you would go through to park using the app. You pull up our map-based interface. This is what you'll see when you load into the app. You'll select the zone number. So we'll have zone numbers labeled based on your streets or your blocks, however you want to do that. Click the zone number, set how much time you want to park for, confirm your details, and you start parking. And at the end, you'll be taken to a countdown screen where you can see how much time you have left in your session. You can extend remotely, just a click of a button. This is all digital. There's no running out to feed a meter. There's no searching for coins, any of that. It's very, very easy. This slide makes it look like it's 6 steps. It's really more like 2 or 3 steps. It takes about 20 to 30 seconds. I use it pretty much every day where I live. So we also have other options for payments. So you can pay by the app, which I just took you through that process. You can also pay over the web. So we will provide you guys with signage. There will be a QR code on that signage that residents can scan with their phone. It'll take you to a web browser, and you can check out as a guest over the web. I think that is one of the most valuable parts of the platform. A lot of other apps, you have to download the app. You have to make an account, which takes 5 to 10 minutes by itself. So if you choose not to download the app, you can still pay for Park Mobile. We have a pay by text option as well. That number will be posted on the signage we provide you. It takes you through that exact same process. And then if you do not have a smartphone, that is okay. We offer a toll-free IVR number that you can call, pay over the phone. Again, that number was posted on our signage that we will provide you. That will all be included for free. There's no extra cost for the signage. You'll tell us how much you want up front. We will ship that out to you, and we will go from there. And then if you are unbanked or you don't have a credit card, a debit card, whatever it may be, we also accept prepaid MasterCards, Visa cards, all that good stuff. So there's really no reason anybody wouldn't be able to pay for the app. Very, very accessible. So what is your investment? There really is none. So the signage, we have an enforcement tool that your police department or meter maids, whoever it may be, will use to enforce the app, write tickets if they need to. We have a back office where you can set your parking rates, do rate schedules, look at analytics, insights, have full control over the operation. And then a 24/7, 365 customer care team as well. All of that is included for free. There's no extra cost. There's no upfront cost to use the platform, and there's no annual fee to use the platform. The way that our pricing is structured, there are 2 fees that will be charged every time somebody parks. One will be charged to the person parking. That'll be a 40-cent fee on top of whatever your parking rate you choose to set is. And then the other fee will be charged to the borough, will be paid to Park Mobile. That's 3% of the transaction plus 20 cents. So a quick, easy example for you. If the total transaction is $1, 3% of that is 3 cents plus 20 cents is 23 cents. That'll just be taken out of that dollar. So you guys will make 77 cents on that dollar. You're never paying anything unless you're already making a profit. Sarah, Greg, Chris have all that information. I know they've run through it with the finance department, but I wanted to at least give you guys an overview so you can understand, how the transaction actually works. Only had 5 minutes, so I know I ran through that very quickly. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer those.
Hi, Max. This is Kevin, Councilman. First of all, it's not meter maids, it's parking enforcement officers. I just want to warn you to that. I do represent Pittsburgh Parking Authority, and I know Park Mobile is something that is used. And it's an antiquated term to call someone a meter maid. That's more of a Halloween decor or a Halloween costume. But beyond that, I do know that it has been deployed and employed by Pittsburgh Parking Authority for some time. I know there's some issues with occasional glitches and such. Um, but by all in all, the reviews that I've gotten with Park Mobile, just to share with my fellow council folks, has been positive. So I would be in favor of this move.
Thank you, Kevin. Much appreciated.
And thank you, Max.
Yep.
OH, by the way.
Yeah, IO. Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother.
All right. I have a question, not anything to do with Ohio, but do want to two questions actually. What kind of language support do you have in the app? Some of our residents are not English speakers or first language. Just wanted to know about that, especially with various abilities. And then my second question, I know on the information Greg sent out, you have a different app for enforcement, I believe, right?
Good. Good.
Something like that. And I wanted to know just a little bit more about that and the verification process. And then I lied, I have a third question.
Yep.
And then my third question is really about how we kind of keep up if there's like, dashboards or information we can see usage and so on. I hope you got those three questions.
No, all good, all good. First of all, I'll cover the language question first. So we do offer multiple languages. I can give you a list of what we offer, how the app can be configured. I don't know them off the top of my head. So that is a next step I will take for myself, and I'll reach out to Greg and Sarah with that answer. I will also mention our customer support team offers bilingual support as well, English and Spanish. So if the majority of that population that you were referencing is Spanish speaking, the support team can definitely handle that as well. For the enforcement side, so the enforcement tool is basically just web browser accessible. It's not an actual app. So we'll give you that URL basically that your enforcement officers will input into, whether it's a smartphone, a tablet, whatever they choose to use. And they'll have login credentials and all that good stuff. Very easy to use. It's really just a couple fields that they will be able to search by the zone numbers I was referencing. If they want to search a specific license plate number, they can do that as well. But we make it as simple as possible. There's not a ton of bells and whistles to it. It's very straightforward. So that's the enforcement. And if you have more questions on that, happy to answer it. And then lastly, what was the last question?
Just updates on like the usage dashboards, things
Yes.
like that.
So there's actually a couple different back office tools that we provide. One is called the parking dashboard. That is essentially just a deep dive and an overview into your entire parking operation. So you'll be able to see where people are parking the most, like occupancy numbers, where you need to enforce more. If you feel like you want to set a specific higher rate or lower rate in an area of town based on the occupancy, you can do that. And then Park Mobile 360 goes hand in hand with that, which is where you'll actually set your rates. You can run metrics, analytics. All of this you'll be trained on this. So if you have, let's say 3 or 4 or 5 admin that will be in control of the parking operation, they'll have their own login credentials. They'll be able to log in, control all that from, their office. It's very hands-on. It's easy to use. And it's not like we're just going to throw it at you. We'll have a team that explains how to use everything.
Awesome. And I'm very familiar with the PGH Park app, and I know you cannot use Apple Pay on the. I've never seen Apple Pay on the app itself, but it's on the web. Is that correct?
We do offer Apple Pay, so I was not aware that the PGH app was not offering Apple Pay. That's something that I will definitely look into internally, because we do offer Apple Pay.
It doesn't work very well, but that was, I do love my Apple Pay, so
Right.
I will, just kind of like the tapless kind of thing. So
Yeah, I will mention too, the Park PGH app, like I said, we implemented this years and years ago. It could be a situation where when we first went live, Apple Pay wasn't an option. and it's something that they have chosen to not incorporate into the app. That could be what it is. I'm not 100% sure. But we do offer Apple Pay, just so you do know that.
That's great to know. Thank you.
Yep, no
Mayor
problem.
Schwartzwelder, were you trying to say something? I saw your screen light up. Oh, I don't think we can hear you. Ma- Mayor, we can't hear you. Am I the only one that can't hear her?
I
No,
can't.
we're not
Yeah,
here.
we can't hear you. There's something wrong with your sound. I also noticed that there was another way, another payment not payment method, but another way. So you talked about the 20 cents and the 3% and the borough paying a portion, and then there was another one that the borough did not pay an upfront portion. Which one was that?
So that is our what we call our bundled pricing, or variable pricing, which essentially all that would be is those two fees that I described to you, the convenience fee and the processing fee. We would bundle those together at, just for the sake of an example, I'll say a 75-cent rate, and all of that will be charged to the person parking. The borough wouldn't be paying anything. So that is certainly an option. That would be up to you guys, however you feel it would be best implemented. But both are an option.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, just a quick question. Dr. Jeffrey mentioned to those with language barriers. How about the senior population? Would there be any, because all of them may not be very tech savvy as the rest of us. So would there be any drawbacks or anything that or would be more seamless for them to be able to use this app?
Yeah, so the senior population, that's really where, the toll-free IVR number comes in if you want to pay over the phone. You don't have to have a smartphone for that. You can pay with a flip phone. In terms of physical cash tender, that's not something that the app supports. We do offer pay stations as well. That's something that we had discussed a little bit, but that is an upfront capital expenditure, so a little bit more expensive on that end. So our biggest solution in terms of specifically the app for the senior population would just be using, a toll-free IVR number, call over the phone.
If you did have one of those physical stations, you would be able to put cash in it.
Yep, absolutely. We offer coins, cards, bills, all of the above, contactless, the whole shebang. So, if that's something that you are interested in, please let me know. We offer that as well, and it all integrates to the app. All the transactions talk to each other. So,
Yeah. I mean, my biggest concern is that, you have someone, I mean, you can have all kinds of issues when you're older. You might not be able to hear on your phone, or you might not be able to see well. And goodness knows that after, I believe, 40, small print becomes a problem. And, you need a little light to see it. And even then you can't see it. So, there are issues that are out there in terms of accessibility, all kinds of accessibility. So I want to make sure that people would have some ability aside from having their young grandchild, nephew, cousin, daughter, son, whatever partner, being able to help them to use that. I want people to have the independence.
And quickly be able to navigate and could be in a dark area. We just want to make sure it's as quickly done as possible.
yeah.
Um, oh, I do have one, I don't think 40 is that old, but
No. That's when your eyesight starts
oh, that's
going.
okay. I said,
It starts
okay.
at 40.
I got a few more. So I wanted to ask, one with the senior question, I think it's important, and this might be more in the education space, just to kind of with calling and stuff. I know the more education we have with seniors, especially with fraud, just making sure that there's some precaution there with fraudulent calls, and I don't want them to either misconstrue that or have some, we might have to think about trust in that space. But my actual question was, Max, I was just wondering, I know you mentioned the city of Pittsburgh being a big client, but has there been any smaller like boroughs, municipalities that similar to our size that's implemented this? And if so, any learnings that you've seen from that might be different from a bigger city?
Yeah, absolutely. We work with municipalities of all sizes, from Pittsburgh and Philadelphia down to, boroughs like Swissville and even much smaller than that. We'll do boroughs of 1,000 people. It really doesn't matter. The great thing about the app is there's such a low barrier to entry. It's really just putting up signs and watching the transaction go. So I don't know if I have a specific insight into like the differences. I think there are certain tools like the dashboard tool that I was explaining to you. That's a lot more valuable for bigger cities because their operation's so big. It's nice to have a glance into that. For smaller cities, it makes a difference, but it's not as of a valuable thing, I guess I would say. Um, but yeah, the app works regardless. It's good to have the option no matter what size of your borough, what the size of the borough is. It's good to have the option to pay mobily. It's becoming a digital world. So yeah, the size really doesn't matter. We can support all types.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Can you unshare your screen?
Yes, I can do that.
Thank you so much.
Dr. Alfonso Wells, can I just add a couple things?
Absolutely.
So the Finance Committee discussed this in the proposal that Mr. Hoag gave us. He just used an example of $1 an hour. The Finance Committee discussed this, and the recommendation that the Finance Committee is making to Council is 50 cents an hour would be the borough fee. And just to clarify, the 40-cent fee to park mobile, that's a one-time fee. So if you're parked there 1 hour or 10 hours, it's only 40 cents. So it's not 50 plus 40 plus the 3%. It's 50 plus 40 once and then however many hours you're there. So I just wanted to clarify that so that the fee is actually a lot lower than what it seems it might be. One of the other things we discussed was having different time frames that you could park, like in the municipal lot, a 10-hour time frame, so that if someone was parking there to go to work to take the bus, they have their 8-hour workday, 8.5-hour workday, whatever it is, and they have their bus time in, bus time out. So that'd be like a 10-hour maximum from the time you enter the lot. On Noble Street and and Waverly Street, where there are meters, that would be a 4-hour time limit to try to turn the parking over quicker, so people don't park there. So people that go to Pittsburgh don't park there all day and leave their car there on the streets where that's those kind of for the businesses for people to filter in and out of. And as Mr. Hoag said, they do offer kiosks for payment. Now they do range. It's an outlay of $6,000 to $12,000 up front. There's a monthly fee on it, and there's a quarterly maintenance fee that goes with that. The other concern we have we talked about the Finance Committee, is vandalism, because if you put it in the parking lot, there are, at nighttime there are cameras in there, but there's not a lot of traffic in there, foot traffic or car traffic. So we're concerned about vandalism. The other thing too is we would probably need at least 2 kiosks, because you have the parking lot and then you have the separate parking area. So that's why we decided to recommend no kiosks, because the initial capital outlay, the additional monthly and quarterly fees, and the concern about the vandalism.
Thank you, Mr. Batchy.
Greg, just real quick question, and maybe this is either for you or for Max or Mr. Hoag. Is there is there a way to get a used kiosk? Is that a thing? Do they exist?
We certainly have used kiosks in our warehouse. I don't know of any scenario that we have actually sold one to anybody. I can look into it. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I mean, you can give it to us.
And I don't know if we do offer it. I'm not sure how much of a discount it would be at. I've never been asked that. It's a great question. So I'll look into it and see what we can do. But just for you guys' reference, if you go into the city of Pittsburgh, all of those rectangular kiosks that are on the side of the street, those are ours. That's exactly what this would be. Just so you're aware of what you would be looking at.
Thank you very much. And okay, I think we're going to move on to discussing the demolition clearance hearings.
Are we making this an agenda item for next week?
It looks like a yes. It looks like yes, we're making an agenda. Thank you, Mr. Hoag. We appreciate your presentation.
Thank you all. Thanks for the time.
Yes,
Have a
thank
good
you.
night.
Ciao, ciao.
So discuss demolition clearance hearings. The only thing to mention is uh, we had the hearings just before this meeting. So if people weren't tuned in, we had demolition clearance hearings for 7412 Park Avenue, 7305 Denniston Avenue, and 2329 Waverly Street. We need to put it on the agenda next year next week, I'm sorry, to make a declaration of slums and blight resolution for each of those three properties. That's what the county requires, is this is county funding that's being used to demolish these. So.
I think I see some very positive movements towards that, so let's put that on the agenda for next week. Anybody want to discuss it? No, I think we're all kind of in the same boat here. Okay, can we discuss hiring a consultant for the traffic calming study?
So we solicited proposal for the traffic calming study. This is a grant funded project through an LSA grant. Last year we did the active transportation plan. TPD Incorporated was the consultant who conducted the plan. We were all very pleased with the product that they provided to us. We went back to them. We did not solicit proposals that we didn't send out to a dozen people. We went to TPD. It is a professional service that we can solicit a proposal from. We do not have to do a competitive bidding. TPD gave us a proposal cost of $35,000, which is what our budget is for the project, to do the traffic calming study. And basically what they're proposing to do is what was in the study, which is identify areas where traffic calming is necessary, develop different types of traffic calming methods, whether they be speed humps, speed tables, mid-block stop signs, bump outs, whatever the case may be, and develop a top 10 priority list for the implementation of these, and develop cost estimates. And basically, some in the engineering industry, they call them cartoon drawings. Basically, it's not full-blown engineering. That would be done when we get some grant money to do it. The engineering would be part of that, and of the actual design. But it'd be like cartoon drawings of each of the different at 20 up to 20 locations, where we identify them. And biggest thing would be, they give us a priority list, but they also would provide us objective criteria in the future, so that the staff council and the transportation advisory committee, when receiving a concern about, hey, we need a speed bump, speed hump, whatever, could look at it and see if it meets the criteria set forth. They are also going to deploy some of the traffic signs like we put on Lomont Drive to collect speed data, to collect traffic counts and speed data in areas where we've had complaints, which we'll provide them with that, and then they'll use their background and experience to look at other places where they may be necessary. One of the things is there's a lot of areas that are going to be excluded from this. Graff Street, Union Street, certainly not going to be spend the consultant's time, because you can't get up enough speed on those brick roads that have cars on both sides, 6 inches from both sides of you. So we would sit down with the consultant, initially identify which roads we're not studying, and then, it's the main roads. It's the South Braddock, Monongahela, Edgewood, Columbia, Church, McClure, where you have long straightaways with no stop signs, where people pick up a lot of speed. Schroyer, those areas like that. Also considering, like, school locations and senior citizen high rise and things like that, that make the area where there's special things there that maybe we need to look a little harder to slow the traffic down, just because of not necessarily the road, but what's on that road and who uses that road: pedestrians, cyclists, and vehicles. So, like I said, we do have a proposal of $35,000. They said they could have us a draft plan by the beginning of November, and so that then we could apply for LSA funding uh, prior to November 30th to try to start implementing some of these projects for the traffic calming.
Thank you, Mr. Batchy. Any discussion?
Just a quick question. I know with our recent issue of the speed on Wilmot, putting in some temporary measures there, would that affect anything um, on this calming study, like just data wise, because that technically is something we introduced after, and it could skew the information that they gather. Just curious about that.
It could skew the information they gather on that street, yes. But I mean that it wouldn't affect the other streets that we're looking at. And that may be a case where we may need to, well, if we hire them next week, they could actually do the data collection before the speed humps go in.
Okay.
And they could collect that data first, and then we could install the speed humps. So that's probably just if we just move that up and tell them to do that first. And they said they'd like to try to collect all their data before July 10th when the Commercial Street Bridge closes, so that because we told them you can't collect data July 10th to August 3rd because the bridge is just going to skew this so much. And they said that they'd like to have the data collection done by the end of June.
Okay, that would be great because I think I just want to make sure they have a full picture
Mhm.
of everything in recent history that has happened. And I'm assuming Woodstock will be on that list too, as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. Woodstock is one of the areas where we get a lot of complaints, and also there's a lot of accidents on Woodstock.
Thank you, Mr. Batchy.
I will point out that on Braddock right now, they've already started changing the lanes. So I mean, that it is going to skew a little bit the data down here by the Parkway because they've
Mhm.
already, I don't know, they've already put in something so that you can only go in one lane or onto the parkway. That's it. You don't have two lanes to go on. So that might be a little skewed there. But does it look it looks like everyone is in favor of putting this on the agenda for next week so we can get that traffic study started? All right, on the agenda for next week. Let's move on down to discuss hiring an architect for the food pantry renovations. It is item D.
So we have two grants for the food pantry renovation totaling $650,000. Um, and we've replaced the roof replacement was finished about a week and a half ago. And so we have about after the purchase and everything, we have about $350,000, 375,000 left to make some renovations there. So we need to hire an architect to do the design work, bid specs, process work. We reached out to EO Studio Architects. They are on Noble Street, they're a Swissvale business, to get a proposal from them. We received a proposal that is not to exceed $40,900. Now that also includes some estimation services. If we decide we don't want those, that drops off $2,400. But I would ask that you approve a contract with EO Studio Architects for not to exceed $40,900 for the project to renovate the Swissvale Food Pantry building.
Any dis
This is Kevin. The only thing I would ask is that we learn from our experience with other building projects and choose wisely.
Okay, does that mean we're going to put this on the agenda for next week? Can I see your heads? Okay, put it on the agenda for next week. Thank you very much. And moving right along to agenda item E, which is discuss a resolution to submit a GTRP grant application for Memorial Park.
GTRP stands for Greenways Trails and Recreation Program. This would be to submit a grant application to match the C2P2 grant that we received earlier, I think it was January of this year, so that we would have this project fully funded. So this is just only to pass a resolution to submit the grant to the Commonwealth Finance Authority for consideration. I will say this grant program is highly competitive, even more so than the C2P2 program, and our legislators have a lot of input into who gets these funded. So I would say, we need to talk to our friends in the legislature, Senator Costa and Representative Salisbury, and see if they could lobby heavily for us on this. So we can match this grant and then hopefully get this under construction in 2027.
Excellent. Is there any discussion, or do we just want to put it on the agenda for next week?
I'd say put it on the agenda, but Greg, is there a possibility for us for next week if you could have somebody draft us a letter and we all sign it to our elected officials?
Yeah, I don't think I can do it for next week, but yeah, the application's not going in till it's not due till the end of May, so they don't start reviewing till June, but I can draft that for next week.
Fantastic. Just so we're all on record supporting it.
For the food pantry.
No, we moved down to the
No, the letter that Kevin has just discussed. The letter
that was for the GTRP grant application.
Okay, wasn't clear because the comment was in between remarks. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, so we're putting that on the agenda. Moving on to item F, discuss change orders for the borough building.
Okay, we had two change orders that the council needs to ratify. The first one is for the plumber. The total amount's $9,104.26. Basically, what this is, it comes down to Chief Watson had requested hose bibs be added in the Sally port and in the cells. Those weren't part of the original design, so that they could be hosed out. So that they could hose out the cells if there's bodily fluids, anything like that in there. Also to clean the cars inside the Sally port, hose out the Sally port, which basically, if you don't know what Sally port is, it's a garage inside the building. So the total for that change order is $4,576.15. The next change order is for the plumbing is $1,120.90. It's to change the type of fixture, toilet sink combination fixture in one of the cells, because the way it was designed, the plumbing conflicted with the footer. And the only way to get the plumbing in there was to shave off part of the footer, which is not something we want to do. The only other way was to get a different fixture that the plumbing hooked up in a different location for this. The third for the plumbing is $3,407.21, and that's to install a water pressure reducing valve on the building. Apparently, the water pressure is very high on Roslyn Street at the corner of Roslyn and South Braddock, and is higher than what would be not only necessary but also safe for the building, so it doesn't damage anything. There probably was a reducing valve on the old building too, but once the water authority came out and did a pressure test after the fact, after everything was designed, they found I think it was like 160 psi, which is much higher than what is necessary and could damage some of our plumbing, especially the sprinkler system. So the total requested change order there was $9,104.26 on this. So then there's another one for DeMarco, but if we want to address these separately, this one's for McRandall Plumbing. We looked at these and we thought the numbers were very reasonable on the changes that were requested.
Greg, this is Kevin. First of all, would that not have come out in the design about the moving of the $1,100 fixture?
Yeah, it should have. Yes.
Okay, I have serious concerns about an additional $1,100 for something that they failed to design properly. But
yeah, that is something that the plumbing design and the footing design conflicted with one another.
And who's responsible? Who was responsible for combining those things together? Obviously not you.
It was the architect. I mean, the architect hired the plumbing engineer to do the plumbing design, and the architect designed the footing. So it's the architects that design both.
Okay, do we have any language in our contract that allows for us to go back on them for any of these things?
I don't know offhand, but it's something we'd certainly look into.
Yeah, I didn't really put you on the spot. I mean, It frustrates
No,
me that we're paying these people, we raise taxes to pay these people to draw us a building that we are not experts on, and something as simple as a commode in a cell that is required by human rights standards, of course, has been sloppily done.
Any more discussion? Okay, clearly this needs to be put on an agenda for next week, so we'll put it on an agenda for next week.
Okay. So that's plumbing. Now there's another one from DeMarco Construction, and what this is we made some changes in the um, access control system from what was originally proposed to what we're currently looking at for the access controls. And what that is basically there's a key fob system, like, when you walk up to a door, like staff would have a fob that you just strike your fob against the thing, it unlocks the door for you. When somebody rents, say, the community room, we can hand them a fob and they can strike in, strike out, or we can just program the system to say open the doors to the main doors and open the council chambers at noon on this date, and lock them up at 6 p.m. So you do that ahead of time, and then you don't have to have the police on Saturday or Sunday go in there and have to open doors for people, close doors. Because if they're busy with other things, we don't want them to have to, be the doorman for the building. This was originally, this was proposed the whole time, but the technology changes, rapidly with this, and at some point it got shifted to a PoE system, which is a power over Ethernet. Chief Watson was working with Site Solutions, who is the contractor for the basically all the cameras around town, all the license plate readers and camera system, and somewhere between the architect, the Site Solutions, and everything, there was a change that required a change in the door frames. The door frames cost an additional $50,753 by going to a better technology. Now, there will be not a corresponding, but there will be a reduction on the technology contractor of about $20,500. I don't have that change order for you tonight because they just provided the proposal on Monday, which has not been vetted by the architect and reviewed. They originally offered a $13,000 credit. They upped it to $20,500. It may be slightly more, but it's going to be at least $20,500, which offsets the cost of this to about $30,200 as far as the change order goes on the door frames. Because the issue with the door frames is there has to be cutouts on the door frame specifically for the fob system, specifically for the wiring, for everything. And the door frames with the better technology, putting in the newer technology requires a different type of door frame than was spec'd. So that's where we're at with the $50,000 change order. Now, the caveat I want to say this too is we've only had one other change order on this project. We're about 75% done, so we're doing pretty good. And there probably will be another change order, which will be a deduction in the cost because we had a rock clause and we had a soil clause for bad soil, which was about $200,000 that was bid into the project in case they hit rock, which they used about $3,000 of it when they hit some rock, which we figured was an old footing under a building. There was an apartment building next door. And also there's a soil clause that if there's bad soil under the building or the parking lots, that there's money allotted for that. But we have, 100 over, almost $200,000 that we haven't used, which normally you use most of that money under the building. There may be some under the parking lots, depending on what they find, when they do the finish grading to get the stone and the binder course in here for the parking lots in the next couple months. So it seems like we'll be under the budget for change orders, which we only had like 100,000 budgeted, but we actually maybe end up with a credit for the whole project on change orders. I'm not happy about this $50,000 change order. I'm not happy about the time frame it took us to get to this point because the architect did have this for quite a while. And the owner, DeMarco, contacted me and said, where are we at with this? Why are we not getting this back? And when I called Pete, well, I don't want to name names, what I call the architect, I got this the same day within an hour. So this wasn't, they didn't just pull it together in an hour. They had it, they sat on it. Um, I'm not going to speculate on anything else, but they had it, they sat on it for quite a while. And, now they're drywalling and we don't have all the door frames in. So,
So,
Discussion?
yes. Um, I'm obviously not happy about a $50,000 change order that the architect should have had, could have had, would have had, and should have entertained. We're paying them a lot of money. We raise taxes to pay their fees, and they're falling short again. I encourage us as a council or as us as a borough to explore all avenues. This is unacceptable.
When you say explore all avenues, what do you mean?
I think on my screen to the right of Mr. Batchy is Mr. McTiernan, and I think a strongly worded letter being very clear about our position and us exploring any other avenues within the contract to alleviate some of these undue financial burdens that we're getting for their lack of care and process. And by no means am I blaming you, Greg. You're not this architect from day one, from the day I started on council, has only given us excuses. And again, like I said to them in my first meeting, we're paying them for their expertise because we're not experts.
Okay, do we want to put this on the agenda for next week? I see
yeah,
Kevin
we
nodding his
need,
head.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we need to put it on the agenda. But between Greg and Mr. McTiernan, would you guys be able to kind of give us an update on kind of like where we stand on this contract and if we have any
Recourse. Yes.
yes.
We'll talk to
Okay.
Mr. Batchy about it. We'll look at the contract and yes, we'll take a look at it. We'll give council some update before the meeting.
Yeah, we don't want to be
Awesome.
seen
Thank you so much.
agreeing as somehow conceding to these changes by wanting to go forward and complete the building.
So we will put this on the agenda for next week. And in the meantime, Mr. McTiernan and Mr. Batchy are going to be looking at some other recourses.
yeah, I'll
Okay.
give Mr. McTiernan a copy of the contract tomorrow. I mean, I'm sure he has it. He was provided it 4 years ago, but I have it more readily accessible that I can probably just shoot him a copy of it.
That'd probably be easier. And I guess a lot depends on, is this work that and expenditures that didn't need to have to be made, or is this as an added expense because of something that we want that wasn't anticipated? Are we getting something of value for the money that wasn't anticipated, or was there an error made? And that's the key distinction. And Greg and I, Mr. Batchy and I can go through that and advise council.
I mean, I think
Perfect.
door frames are pretty basic, and they should have been. What does council feel about? How does council feel about asking Greg to reach out to the architect and have the architect come
Well,
before us next week?
Let's wait
now,
and see what Mr. Batchy
let's
and
do the
Mr.
research
McTiernan come up
first.
with tomorrow.
Perfect. So Mr. McTiernan is going to be doing the research. We have this on the agenda for next week. And then dependent on the research, we'll be making some other decisions.
And
All
we're going
righty.
to have an executive session next week about another issue after the meeting. We can discuss this in the executive session too. We really probably
Excellent.
shouldn't discuss this publicly.
Not being discussed. Moving right along, we're going to go to G, discuss appointing a member to the Shade Tree Advisory Committee.
So we interviewed Mr. Hall at 6:15. He expressed great interest in the position. In my email that I sent out to everyone earlier in the week, I did mention that there were two candidates, but I asked them both to provide me all their information by last Thursday, assuming that if somebody was late or something, because I send you everything on Monday, that they had a couple days to get it in. I never heard back from the second candidate, but Mr. Hall had sent me his email with his expressing his interest. So I think it's something we could just go, we could go ahead and put on the agenda to appoint Mr. Hall if everybody's okay with that.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to put that on well, that's going to be on the agenda for next week. We could finish up with that. Okay, moving right along to H, discuss CDBG bids for Schley Avenue sanitary sewer.
So we have a CDBG grant from the Turtle Creek COG, and we also have a grant from the COVID-19 Small Water and Sewer Grant Program. For totals is $700,000. The low bid came at $713,000. And out of the grant money, we have to pay the engineer's fees, we have to pay the inspection and the advertising and such. So Mr. Ziscal and myself discussed this, and we are recommending that you award a contract to S&E Utility Services in the amount of $636,108. What we did was we deducted 170 feet off of the project, which is from Collingwood Avenue to the dead end of Schley, which is like that little cul-de-sac. So it's 170 feet that we won't replace now. And if we do a second project in the future, like on Collingwood Avenue, we would include that section on the thing on that project. This would replace the sanitary sewer line in its entirety from Monongahela Avenue to Collingwood Avenue on Schley. And if you've been down Schley lately, there's a whole bunch of little divots in the road, in the center of the road. Basically, that's where the sanitary sewer line is collapsing. And we did camera this several years ago. This is probably the worst sewer line that we're aware of in Swissvale, because it's not just one spot, it's multiple spots where it just goes like this. So it's only a matter of time before it collapses. So we have the funding to do it, the majority of what we wanted to do. And so I'd recommend that we place this on the agenda.
Any discussion? I do think it's going to be funny that well, funny, not funny, but if they finish the project and they make everything nice and whole, and then they'll have to open it back up again and then redo that concrete. But I think we'll be putting this on the agenda for next week. Again, yay, lots of agenda stuff. Okay, moving right along to I, discuss CDBG bid for handicapped ramp projects.
So this is twofold. There's actually two projects. There's demolition projects, two demolitions they also opened bids for today. I'm sorry, yesterday. So the demolition project was for 2453 Woodstock Avenue and 2462 Woodstock Avenue. This is funded through the neighborhood assistance program, which is being administered by the Turtle Creek COG on behalf of the enterprise zone. Which then the enterprise zone granted us $30,000 last year to do the project, to do these two projects. So if you followed that convoluted path, we have $30,000 to do these, and the COG is administering them. The low bid came in at $35,000. There were two bids. One was for $35,000. One was for $102,000. The 30,000 I trust is the 35,000 I trust is good. Minifield has done a lot of demolitions in Swissvale in the past five years, and they've done a lot in the Turtle Creek COG over the last 10, 15 years. I trust that their numbers are good. Now there's $30,000 available in the grant. We would have to fund the other $5,000, which we could fund out of our capital fund.
Any discussion? Okay, it looks like we're going to be putting that. Did you want to say something, Ms.
I was just going to say, these buildings, we already did the demolition clearance hearings last year. And this is through the process, we're kind of at the end of the process before demo. So this is we're almost at the finish line with these two.
All right, let's get it on the agenda for next week. Get that done. And moving on to item J.
Well,
Nope.
wait a minute. There's
Sorry.
another one under I.
Another one, sorry.
The handicap ramp construction. We got the grant this is another COG one. The grant is for about $28,000, and we put this out to bid, and it came in at $22,120, which is great. However, the Allegheny County requires that when you use the community development block grant funding, that if you only get one bid, you have to rebid it. So We talked, Bob Ziscow and myself talked to Molly, who's the community development coordinator for the COG, and asked her if she could reach out to the county and ask if they would grant a waiver on that, because this is a responsible contractor that they've used before, Mr. Ziscow's used before, and the price is really good. Um, and see if they would waive that requirement. So this may or may not be an agenda item for next week because we don't know if they're going to approve it. I'm going to place it on the agenda. When I do the agenda Friday, I'll put it on there if I haven't heard back, if we don't have an idea yet. And but if we don't hear from Wednesday, we either have to table it or remove it.
Okay, we'll put a placeholder on that one then. Thank you,
Yep.
Mr. Batchy. Moving right along to J, discuss a resolution affirming Tom Barr as the tax collector.
The bonding company that issues the bond for Mr. Barr, which is required as part of his position, requires a resolution be issued by council to renew the bond, just affirming that he is the elected tax collector for the taxing jurisdiction. We did this in 2022, 2018, basically every 4 years. So I just took the resolution I provided to you was the exact same resolution that we used in 2022. I just changed the resolution number and the dates. So this is just basically a housekeeping matter so that he can get his bond renewed.
Any discussion? All right, I think we'll be putting this on the agenda for next week. In addition, for those who are out there, just a reminder, your garbage tax is due on April 30th, which is, I believe, tomorrow.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's your last day before you get a penalty. Very good. Moving right along, discuss temporary parking restrictions during bridge closure.
So by bridge closure, I mean commercial street bridge. Um, this was brought to me by Chief Wilhelm about some issues with Regent Square and getting into Regent Square, and in some way to overcome that during the bridge closure, as we are anticipating a lot of traffic in that area. So I'll turn it over to Chief Wilhelm. He's got a screen share that he can show you what he's recommending.
Yes, good evening. If you will see here, what we're looking at is our biggest obstacle. We've really spent a lot of time thinking this through from the emergency management perspective. And currently, during rush hour traffic, morning and evening, we have difficulty getting into Regent Square past Charleston because there's no parking. If you're going from South Braddock Avenue from the Parkway up towards Regent Square, there's no parking on the left side until you get past Charleston. But there is some parking on the right side. But the road is wide enough that with a fire apparatus or ambulances or even police, they can what we call split the road, meaning that there's enough room for the cars to spread out and us go down the middle. But once you pass Charleston, the road narrows because of the bend and the parking on both sides. And whenever we go up and respond there, even now sometimes it's a dead stop. And we have to wait for the traffic light at Hutchinson, the traffic to slowly move past in order to get up to Saunders to make the left so that we can service the people back in Regent Square. So considering that, Braddock Avenue has about 22,000 cars a day now, and they're going to divert 100,000, and we don't know where those people are going to go. It's all kind of on a hope and a prayer, and they've set up some detours. We know that for that month, it's going to be much more difficult. So if you look at this map, this is where the Wilkins School Community Center is, and it's the one block of Charleston between South Braddock and Milton. And if you'll note the alley that comes out, if you follow my my arrow, this Kappa Way, this is one way by ordinance from Kappa Way down to South Braddock Avenue. But they can come out of Kappa Way and go left. People generally drive down the middle of the road to go down to Braddock Avenue. What I am requesting council to consider is passing a resolution for temporary traffic pattern and no parking. There's a yellow line in front of the school, although there are people that park there. There are sometimes people that park along this side of the road on the upper side. But what we would recommend is that there's already no entry from South Braddock Avenue, do not enter. We would like to split the road in half, have no parking on both sides for that month, and reroute traffic where these dotted yellow lines would be horses or cones, if you will, to separate that so that we would have the traffic come down, if you follow my cursor, the right side to go down to South Braddock, but it allows this open for fire apparatus, ambulances, police, not just Swissvale, but also including Pittsburgh, because they serve as part of this area back here as well, in order for us to easily and safely get up here. Now, there have been times during my career that we have gone up the wrong way for a working structure fire because of traffic, but it's not safe. This would make it a much safer way for us to alleviate this issue. And, God willing, we hope that nothing happens, but we have to plan for it if it does. In a matter of 3 to 5 minutes of our response time of sitting in traffic, if there's a cardiac arrest or someone's house is on fire, can have a huge impact on the outcome of that event. And it hinders our mitigation efforts to try to eliminate those problems. So this is my proposal. And I hope the council will consider it and preferably adopt a resolution allowing us to do it for that 1 month period. I would recommend that we word the resolution to say that it would occur during the period of the commercial bridge and parkway closure, because although they're giving us estimated dates, it's not set in stone. And while they do have a goal, it might start the date they want it. It might end a little later. It might end a little earlier, and then we can, remove it. But I think it's an important part of our efforts to provide the services that our citizens expect. And if you look down below, down below, there's just a little outline that I prepared. This just explains basically what I did, and it talks about if you look on this cursor here, we would put a do not enter sign up here. And then on this side, we'd put a keep right sign for traffic so that they know that to go to the left or the right side to go down. It's just a basic outline of what we are proposing. And I believe that, and Greg, you could elaborate a little bit more. There's also probably another temporary no parking measure that may be required at Woodstock and Roslyn and Noble and Roslyn because of the buses. They're already having trouble meeting now. There may be a few parking spaces. I don't know if, I think, Greg, you spoke with Acting Chief Zakia a little bit more detail about this, if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, I spoke with Acting Chief Zakia earlier today. We were talking about this issue on Charleston, and we were discussing it, and he brought to my attention that maybe on Noble Street, we need to do Noble and Roslyn. We need to do something like in front of the old auto parts and in the Masters Hardware to maybe temporarily remove the parking there during the bridge closure, because on a daily basis, when buses encounter one another, they have a difficult time turning. They have those big 60-foot articulated buses, and they have a hard time backing them up so they can get out of each other's way, because apparently they drive forward very well, but they're hard to back up. And they cause traffic jams all the time at that intersection. With the amount of traffic we're anticipating during this bridge closure, it'd probably be good that we have a few maybe the spaces on the side in front of Masters Hardware and the auto parts and the dance studio, specified as no parking, as well as when you turn onto Noble Street off of Roslyn, the first 3 or 4 spaces there, so that the buses can pass one another, and any other large vehicles, that go down there. But it's primarily buses that are the issue. And Chief Zakia, if you want to weigh in on it, please do.
No, that would be all. I mean, I know that intersection, it gets congested with buses and other vehicles, and I'm sure that it's going to be the same way when we add a few more vehicles through town.
Yeah, and I mean, I mean, I can personally attest that the buses have difficult times there, because I was actually in an accident with a bus about 8 years ago, and they hit my vehicle when I was sitting on Noble Street, and they came around to bend and cut it too short, and they just, no, I'm not destroyed, but did a lot of damage to my vehicle. So it's a difficult intersection. It's a tight intersection. And I think Dave's or Chief Zakia's suggestion there is just as good as Chief Wilhelm's suggestion here in Regent Square.
All right, any discussion? And Chief, can you take the picture off for a little bit?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Stop. There you go.
I just have
I just
sorry.
Oh, Dr. Jeffries and then Ms. Schwartzwelder.
Okay. Just two questions really quickly for Chief, when you were talking about I'm sorry, what by the school, the lanes closing that.
Charleston.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Are there any residential homes that will be impacted in front of that closure that you were talking about that will essentially cut off that one side?
No, there will not be. If you notice here on this image, the house here faces South Braddock, and they have their own two-car detached garage back here. And this house here faces Milton, and they also have their own, I think, three-car detached garage back here. There is normally not parking here. Every once in a while there may be, but it's not normally a place where the vehicles do park. But we want to assure that they don't, and it should not impact any of them. I don't believe it would.
Awesome. I just couldn't tell from the picture what side their parking was. And then also for the Noble Street considerations, I definitely agree. I live right there and I can see the buses having a very hard time making that turn. So with that being said, I also know that especially for the dance studio there, when they have their kids there for rehearsals and those kinds of things, the streets are pretty packed with, parents parking and so on. So I would just want to make sure we communicate, especially particularly with the dance studio and the owner, to make sure that she communicates with her clientele around that, because there's quite a few people that park and wait in their cars for their kids after the studio is done. So I think that's something for us, just as we consider this, because that might mean that they have to change up some things as well.
Ms.
Yeah, we
Schwartzwelder?
can.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
To respond to Dr. Jeffrey's comment, we can offer them the little parking lot next to the construction trailer because they can use that during off hours because construction guys are going by 3:30, 4 o'clock every day. So, if any evening things, they can use that. Plus, you have the municipal lot, right? Just a block over, and they can still park across the street, across the street like where there's signs that say reserved for police chief, borough manager, their old signs. They can use that parking area, the other little parking lot, and then the Noble Street lot for overflow to take, to pick up the difference from what they're losing there for the 4.5 weeks or four
That's
weeks.
good to know, because I know with the bar building parking, those signs are like, oh, we can't park there. It says reserved for police and so on.
Yeah, and we'll tell them that they can use that, for that time period while we're, while we have their parking closed off.
Perfect. Thank you.
And then they can communicate to their people.
Ms. Schwartzwelder?
Yeah, I guess it kind of goes with Dr. Jeffries with like just the communication aspect of it. If we can make sure that we have pictures and whatnot that we can put on social media, because I think that's probably our easiest way of communicating with residents up in Regent Square and everyone that'll be impacted over on Roslyn Noble. But that was really all I have to say.
So it looks like people are pretty much in favor. So we're going to put this on the agenda for next week, which is good since that construction is rolling right quickly at us. All right, moving right along to agenda item L, discuss revised TCV COG bylaws.
Turtle Creek Valley COG is proposing a few bylaws amendments, and as a member of the COG, we have to ratify them after they approve them. So now, initially, I told you in my email that the process was for us to give comments to them before they ratify them. But or before they voted on it, they actually voted it on at their meeting last week. Um, so basically, the question comes down to, do you have any problems with what they voted on in their meeting to change their bylaws, you as a member? So in going through them, if you refer to my memo that I sent with the detailed memo, I specified what all the changes were, and basically not too many of them, if any of them, apply to Swissvale. Basically, the main thing, what they want to do is they have the Act 77, which is the law that passed the regional asset district tax, the 1% sales tax that we pay in Allegheny County. And prescribes that we as municipalities get a portion of that. It also says that 25% of any increase year over year has to be paid to your council of governments that you're a member of. We do that every year. We've been doing it since 2001, I believe, when this law went into effect. There's one municipality in the COG that has refused to do it for the past 7 years. So the main change that they want to do in their bylaws is memorialize the requirements of Act 77 in their bylaws that require that payment of the increase in RAD dues and prescribe penalties for non-payment. The penalties for non-payment are that they add that share of that increase in RAD onto your next year's dues. If you refuse to pay it, then you're removed as a COG member. So they would no longer, that municipality would no longer be a COG member if they failed to pay, and any other municipality who fails to follow their responsibilities for that. The other things on there, and I'll just go through the bullets quickly, is that it would specify that dues are not prorated for members who leave during the year, which would also, because they would throw, if you don't pay your dues by September 1st, you're removed. And that would include the additional RAD dues. So basically, they're not giving you a refund if you've paid something for the year. It would allow associate members such as authorities, fire departments, and school districts within the 20 COG municipalities to join the COG. It would allow the executive board to conduct business when a quorum of the full board is not achieved, which happens apparently quite often. It would specify the COG board directors will provide oversight of any property of the COG. It would allow for the board of directors to take action outside of a meeting with written consent of 2/3 of the voting members. It would allow the delegation and of the appointment of the nominating committee for officers to the executive director. It would allow for a proxy vote for officers. It would clarify that the executive board how they fill the vacancies of officers, and it would allow for the delegation of minute taking to the Turtle Creek COG staff, which is already done. And I don't want to take any of Ms. Grabowski's thunder, so I just want, because I just wanted to summarize the bullet points. But Ms. Grabowski is our COG delegate, and if you want to take it, if you have a.
Thank you, Mr. Batcher. I don't have anything to add. We did discuss this at the last in-person council meeting at the beginning of April, and I was at the COG board meeting last week where the board adopted these proposed changes. So the next step is for us as Swissvale to endorse, or whatever the correct verb is.
To ratify is what they asked.
Thank you.
Any discussion on ratification? All right, looks like this is going to be on the agenda for next week. They already passed it. We just have to pass our part, relatively speaking. All right, moving right along. My favorite, oh my goodness. Item M, discuss the COG Vector agreement. I love that Vector.
My favorite too, because it's the last agenda item tonight. The COG Vector agreement, of course, renews every year, every spring. They have sent the new proposed contract, which is actually $3,000 cheaper than last year. So it's $15,150 annually for 15 days. It's $1,010 a day. And the reason it went down is because they paid off their truck that they have, And so they lowered the price so that, because the $3,000 went toward the debt service on the truck. They restructured how they calculate it. And so they are putting money away towards the next truck in 10 years. So they are being proactive with creating a fund for the for the future use. But it's $1,010 a day. I just got a bill from State Pipe Services the other day. We used them for an issue on Pocono Street in February, and it was $1,580 for 4 hours. And this is 1,010 for 8 hours a day. So it's an excellent deal. And the other thing too is usually we do some preventive, we do 3 weeks of preventive maintenance. Um, but the Vector truck operators usually within a half hour of Swissville at all times. So if we have a backup during regular business hours, we call them, not State Pipe or Robinson Pipe. We call them, they come over, and if they're here a half day, then we just take a half day off of our service. We do it all the time, and sometimes when they're here, they go out, they get called somewhere else. We just trade back and forth with the other municipalities who use it. On the days we kind of self-manage that. But I mean, it's the best deal in town on Vectors, so I would recommend that we approve that.
Any Vector discussion? We do love our Vectors. Excellent. Put that on the agenda for next week. And finally, oh, thank God, departmental reports. I hope they're not long, but you can take as long as you want. So we're going to start with our acting police chief, Zakia. Please come on down.
Good evening. I will not be long, I hope. First thing I wanted to, um, kind of a sad note that the department lost Detective Sergeant Corrado last month, and we had our funeral services for him. It was a very nice service. I wanted to thank council, administration, public works, the fire department, everybody who stepped up and helped us. Um, our officers who stepped up in a difficult time did very well with the service, honoring John, and the community. We got a lot of positive things about John and different reflections of his career with Swissvale. So thank you to everybody for that. We are going to be here very soon, replacing some full-time officers who've left us, either have moved on to other jobs or retirement. So we will be testing here soon for full-time within the very near future. That ad will be coming out probably within the next week or so. So keep an eye out for that. Anybody has any officers who are looking for full-time jobs, we're going to be hiring. And just a quick note, I brought this up to the commission meeting last month. Our officers responded to over 500 calls in the month of March. So they're out there answering the calls and things like that, staying on top of things in both boroughs. But that's a lot of calls for small towns. And that's all I have.
And Chief, if I could just add something real quick, I appreciate you offering us the statistic, the tally. That's really important for the community to understand how much work you do and everyone does on a daily basis to keep us safe. Those are 500 calls that we didn't hear about, our community didn't hear about, because you're out there keeping us safe. I also want to take a point of personal privilege to thank you as our leader, even interim. You stepped into a situation, and with John passing, you really stepped up and stepped out. And I applaud you for everything you did to lead us through this mourning process. Your commitment to this department and commitment to this force is admirable, and I don't want it to go unrecognized. We also have several officers that stepped up to help out the family. I want to personally thank Deb. She did an amazing job in supporting Amy and Lena, John's wife and daughter. You all came together in a really amazing way, and it was an honor to be part of that process, an honor to witness it. So I'd like to thank you, Chief Zakia, for your commitment. And really, we didn't appoint you as interim with the expectation that you would have to step into such a huge role in such a expedited fashion, and you did so with professionalism courtesy, and it's admirable. So thank you, and thank everyone for all their
Thank you.
commitment.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Councilperson Haynes. Now we will move on to our Fire Chief, Chief Wilhelm.
I just want to let you know of a few things that have been going on. We had our semi-annual structural firefighting burn training at Butler County Fire Academy on April 18th. We had 15 of our firefighters attend that, which was great, and a lot of good activity and a lot of lessons learned. Also, we just recently had our inspection and got our advanced life support medical license renewed through the Pennsylvania Department of Health. One of the other things you may not be aware of, we actually spent a whole week and a lot of man hours this past week cleaning. Every spring, we clean the undercarriages of the fire trucks. We take every item out of the compartments. We clean them. We take just to take care of the apparatus to try to provide longevity for those trucks because they're so damn expensive anymore. We just for a quick point, so you can have a realization, we paid $394,000 for each of the fire engines in 2007. Those are 2017s. They were delivered the end of 16. The replacement costs of those now are $1 million each. The ladder truck that we got in 2012 for $760,000, which I was able to secure a federal grant for, to replace that ladder truck today is $2.4 million. It's insane. So we're making every effort to take care of those tools and those trucks to give it as much longevity as possible because of the capital costs that are associated with them. Also, while the fire committee is working on this next month doing interviews for the open shift commander position from the shift commander that left to go to another department to better himself in December. And I would expect at the June meeting that they will have a recommendation to fill that position. And lastly, I don't know what the anomaly is. I've got to look into more detail of it, but our call volume up for the first 4 months of this year is up 15 to 20% more than our normal years. We're on pace to do close to 2,000 emergency responses this year if it continues down this way. And we usually average about between 1650 a year. So we've been very busy, and I'll try to figure out why and what the pattern is, but nonetheless, it's increased drastically. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Chief Wilhelm. Ms. Stribling, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to thank him as well as Acting Chief Zakia. But Chief, I always commend you on the amazing work that you do, as well as you and Mr. Volpe as well. But get to continue to do what you do, and try to see what a trend is. You think it's not more fires, or is there something else happening?
Well, it's more calls for service. We just don't go to fire. So, we go to carbon monoxide alarms. We do have some fire alarms. Vehicle accidents have been on the increase, as I've noted previously, as I reported. Mutual aid is up, but not that significantly. And I have to dig into it. And again, I would have had that information if we were still under our old reporting software, but pulling reports from this new stuff is difficult, and I'm still navigating through it. But I am interested to see what the causes are. And by the time we meet in May for those interviews, I should have more information for the fire committee.
Awesome. Keep up the great work.
Yeah, thank you. We look forward to seeing how those numbers turn out. That's going to be very interesting. All right, let's move on to Public Works, Mr. D'Ambrosio.
Good evening. Just have a couple quick items. The DPW hosted the annual community cleanup event on the 18th. We had, I would say, a better turnout than we've had in recent years. Definitely a lot more people showed up. We also hosted the LTAP asphalt maintenance class. That was on the 23rd. Reserve Township in West Mifflin also came down for that. Yesterday on the 28th, we had our annual, every 3 years we have to get recertified for flagging. We had that class. And then lastly, we will be having the hard to recycle event on the 16th of May. which is a Saturday. That'll be from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Oh, well, thank you, Mr. D'Ambrosio. I hope everybody noted when our hard to recycle day is on the 16th. So that's a real good time to get rid of some of those hazardous materials, old TVs, different things that are just sitting around and you've been trying to recycle. And we want to recycle responsibly. So this is your opportunity to bring it in and to get it responsibly recycled. Thank you very much, Mr. D'Ambrosio.
And just real quick, Mr. D'Ambrosio, I would like to thank your team and all of our DPW folks for all of their support during the community cleanup. Did so with bright smiles and happiness, and drove around and collected our garbage from us. So I just want to thank you and the team for their support of this important endeavor in our community. And thanks for playing a part of it.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Very good. Let's move on to Borough Manager Report, Mr. Batchy.
Thank you, ma'am. First thing I want to start with is finance report. Trying to get back to some sort of reporting. Discussed this with the finance committee, and what we talked about was doing a quarterly report just on some basic metrics to show where we're at budget wise. And if you can read that, can everybody read that okay? Size wise? No?
It's okay, though. A little bit bigger would be great.
Yeah, we're over that 40-year-old mark.
Yeah, I'm there too. I got the
Under 40 can read it.
brag much there. View. I'm sorry, I don't do this all the time, so.
Greg, if you go down to the bottom of your screen, there should be a little lever on the bottom.
I got it.
Yeah, that's good.
That good. So the first thing, just the basic metrics we're going to look at here is like real estate tax collection. Really doesn't mean much right now because our real estate bills don't go out until next week. So you're not going to see much here. But basically, what it shows is what we've collected so far this year. The top line, $76,281. That's between delinquents and past years. If anything, like maybe Mr. Barr collected, if somebody came in at 3:55 p.m. on December 31st, there's no way he can deposit that in the bank in last year, in 2020, 2025. So that would go into this year under previous year's collections. The other thing is the when there are appeals and the people have to pay additional funds, additional taxes, that goes into the previous year's collections because it actually, some of those appeals go back a year, 2 or 3 years. So right now there's, it's up $34,000 or almost 81% from last year. But like I said, it's really not a metric to look at right now. In 2 months, 3 months, that's the metric to look at, where we were this year versus last year. Earned income tax collection, we're about even. We're $40 less than we were last year at this point. Now we did project a 3% increase for the year. I think you'll see in the next quarter where we're at with that, whether we're seeing the 3% increase. COG wide, TCC tax collection area wide, they're at about 2.4% increase right now, according to Keystone Collections. Now, ours could be up, down because of the turnovers or whatever, but we have collected 24.25% of our budget, and this is through the end of March. So we are almost right where we should be, 25% of the budget. The RAD tax collected, we're within we're $259 short of where we were last year at this time. The summer months usually kick up a little bit, is where the bigger collections are. But we're at 24.38% of what we budgeted, what we proposed to be at, versus 25.55% last year. Garbage collection in the first month was way down this year. $89,000 less than last year. So, but those, I did look at the numbers and they are up significantly in April. So that, that'll turn around. But we were way down. Real estate transfer tax collection, $50,000 in the first 3 months is a significant increase over last year, 80% increase. And we're about 35.86% of our budget, which shows, it gives some indication the economy is not as bad as some want to say it is, because there are homes being sold at significant prices to generate that $50,000. We budgeted $140,000 for the year, or was our estimate. So we're at almost 36% of what we estimated for the year. Hopefully those stay strong and give us a little extra revenue. Year-to-date revenues so far, we're at almost 24% of what we budgeted, which, I mean, I'm sorry, we're at 24.97% of what we budgeted, which is 23.92% higher than last year. But keeping in mind, we changed our TAN loan from $600,000 last year to $1 million this year. That's included as the revenue. So you see the difference is $450,000 right here over last year. It's actually a $50,000 increase in actual revenue increase, because 400,000 of that was the TAN loan that we drew in. But we are at 25% of our estimated revenues, which is where we should be for the year. And expenses right now, we are up $290,000 over last year, about 16%, but we're only about 22% of our estimated revenues for the year. In the first quarter, which is 25% of the year. So things are trending where they need to be. Like I said, the only anomaly in the major metrics here was the garbage fee that was down 23.6% at this time from last year. But like I said, there was a lot more payments made in April, so that's come up. And each quarter we're going to add to these metrics and have a few additional things, but just get started on some reporting, get back to that, and do a better job with that for all the council, because the finance committee sees these numbers, but all of council hasn't. So we want to get back to some reporting on that. Is there any questions on that before I stop the screen share?
Just that I appreciate you sharing this with us, Greg.
Sure. Yeah, as like I said, I've been one to do this, but we just getting the time to come up with a format and getting with the finance committee to for their approval. But yeah, we're going to keep doing this every quarter, and then give us an idea where we're at, especially after the third quarter going into budget time. So next thing I have is back in January, the Planning Commission met with Rivers of Steel Heritage Corporation for their proposed land development plan at Cary Furnace. They wanted to come back the following month, but they've had some delays and setbacks. But we do have a Planning Commission meeting scheduled for May 21st at 6 p.m. at the borough office. With Rivers of Steel, they've given us a fairly complete submission. There are a couple issues. One is the main issue is they haven't provided proof that they have the right to develop on the county's property next door to it. Without that, this isn't moving forward anywhere. We can't certainly give them a land development approval on property that they don't own or have a lease agreement or some kind of agreement with the county. But that's tentatively scheduled for the 21st of May at 6 o'clock. To flip to the police, this isn't really a borough thing, but the Civil Service Commission for the Swissvale Braddock Hills Regional Police Department will be meeting tomorrow at 7 p.m. at the borough office. Anybody that's on the police commission or any council member, if you're interested, it's not a voting meeting for the members, but if you're interested, it's at 7 o'clock tomorrow. But that's so that they can approve the rules and regulations and approve going out for as Chief Zakia said earlier, we're going to start the hiring process. This is the first step tomorrow. And the last thing I have is just a big thank you to all the people who came out on cleanup day. I know I raised my voice and got a little vocal at the council meeting last month about, hey, get out there, stop complaining, and come out. Um, we had between the people who signed in at the borough garage, and there's a number of children with them. Some of the people, it just looks like the husband or the wife signed in, or the boyfriend or the girlfriend, or whatever, and they did, both of them didn't sign in that they were there together. Plus, Seth Bush had organized a cleanup on Woodstock on the same day with, they came to us and got supplies and everything, and they kind of focused on their own neighborhood. He had 22 people down there signed in. So we estimate we had 90 people or more, 90 plus people, where the most we've had before is 45, 46 people. So we doubled the number of people we had cleaning up our community this year. So I just want to say thank you and great job to everybody that came out. We collected about half a garbage truck full of trash. Um, so a wonderful job and keep up the good work and thank you to everyone who came. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Batchy. I will also say that that area in the back of Dixon School, there's a lot of stuff back in the weeds. We could only get but so much in
Mm.
there. So anytime anybody wants to get together to do a little extra cleanup, there were all kinds of things. Like all kinds I don't sneakers and pieces of just and lots of plastic. There was, and I'm so glad that we got it up. It's a nice area that, we still have a lot of animals that roam around over there. So it's nice to clean it up, especially since the kids are over there and they need to see cleanliness in their environment. It's really hard if if they're looking that way, and little kids do, to see all that trash. But it was really nice to see all the people who were over there picking up around the school and all the other areas on Braddock and some of the hot spots. So that was wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you all. All righty, let's move on to the council president report. I'm not sure we're going to get that today, but maybe.
Oh my gosh. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't have anything. I don't have anything to add for today.
Perfect. Thank you.
I just wanted to add one really quick thing to Mr. Batchy's report for the cleanups. Well, one, Mr. Batchy, I think we all heard you loud and clear at that meeting. And I'm really glad to see our residents show up and continue to show up. If folks around Woodstock are interested, there's always a cleanup every month, organized by Mr. Bush. And the next one is May 16th, which also coincides with a Hard to Recycle event. So we'll also be cleaning up then. And as we find hard to recycle things as the cleanup, we'll bring them over. So just wanted to share that as well.
And also, Sedco has their monthly cleanups that they sponsor. I believe they're the second Saturday of every month. And if if anybody wants to volunteer, I believe they always start at Goodfellas in the morning around 9:30. They can just go over there. And if you need information, you can call the office and we'll put you in touch with Sedco. We'll get you whatever information you need if you want to be a part of those cleanups.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, and now we can hear from our solicitor, Mr. McTiernan.
Yes, good evening. As the manager mentioned, we're going to have an executive session next week, and we'll have some legal and some personnel issues to report on. Those are, of course, confidential for council, but I just wanted to alert you to that. But other than that, I don't have anything to add to the agenda this evening.
Excellent, thank you. And is there any new business?
I just have one really quick thing. From the ALOM conference, county executive address, she did share about Allegheny Forward, which is the strategic planning for the county. And there were a list of municipalities that were not yet participated. Swissville was on there. I do think it's important for us to participate in the strategic planning process at a county level to be representative. I will say it is my thought and recommendation that this could be something for our residential planning committee to partake in and to see what's needed from our borough and to represent as well. So just want to throw it out there as other business, but I do think since we have a whole committee of residents for planning, this might fall well into their arena.
Any other new business?
It's not new to us, but it's new this year. Our annual Juneteenth celebration, which is June 13th. We're definitely looking for vendors, food trucks, people coming to volunteer. You can definitely check the website about more information. Exciting. Of course, we have all kind of events. We have performances. We have stuff for kids. It's a great day for the community. And so we're just looking forward to seeing you on June 13th from noon to 8 p.m.
At Memorial Park. Les Getz Memorial Park. Thank you very much. Any other new business? Well, if there's no more new business, can we get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Anyone want to second that? No
Second.
one. Very good. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody want to stay here by themselves? All right. I guess that's no nays. All right. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everybody. You get 15 minutes back. Relax. Ciao.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Night, everyone.
Night.